Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Last time we did a video on Jack's Links. Today we're gonna be focusing on Costco and the Kirkland brand and see if there's any great business tips we could take from it. So without further ado, let's just jump into it. Let me know if you guys are a huge fan of Costco and the Kirkland brand. I honestly think what they're doing is really cool. I have some Kirkland brand stuff in my fridge right now, actually. All right, see, I have the sparkling Kirkland energy drinks. 200 milligrams of caffeine, 7 essential vitamins, 0 sugar. So honestly, I fuck with these because you can get a whole lot more than when you get like a regular Red Bull, and I personally don't see no difference, but let's see what they gotta say.
On any Costco aisle, next to a name brand item, is often one with a slightly lower price tag and the label, Kirkland Signature.
In the industry, Kirkland Signature is seen as really a shining example of what a retailer can do with its house brand.
Today, the Kirkland brand accounts for...
Look at that. $86 billion is what the Kirkland brand makes for Costco, which is absolutely insane because their total revenue is $254 billion. That's... Revenue-wise, that's so crazy. I need to know how many accountants they have on their team.
Around 1/3 of the company's sales.
Yeah.
But the decision to create just one private label 30 years ago was risky, especially in a world where the most successful ones were divided up by product type.
We were kind of flying right in the face of that success story.
Here's the case study on how Costco went against industry standards and in the process created a negotiation tool that would forever change big box retail. When Costco first started in 1983, the premise was simple. Carry a limited number of name brands in each product category, but sell a lot of them.
One of the significant disciplines of our business is the limited selection.
We weren't going to carry all the SKUs the other retailers carried. We were only going to carry the highest quality goods.
That's really interesting, and that's honestly a great model. Why try to get as much as everything as you can when you can just get the best? If it's a small selection, and it's just the best. That way, in a sense, quality control is automatically taken care of because you're only taking in the best goods. So that's great.
1,000 items as opposed to 140,000 items, because everything that's presented at Costco is presented pretty big. Hits you right in the face whenever you walk in there.
But just a few years into this, data showed that the price of these name brand items were going up.
Let's see here, 1981, 1991, 10 years, things like, damn, they damn near doubled and everything. That's not good for the consumer.
Even while the cost for brands to make them were going down.
Every year they had to raise their price to continue to satisfy Wall Street.
But Costco co-founder Jim Sinegal saw an opportunity.
We were seeing articles being written about what was happening with private label.
This 1991 Forbes article in particular outlined how consumers in Europe were turning...
Well, that's actually really interesting because they weren't raising prices because they needed to. It was because of Wall Street, which when you go through many business stories, you'll find out that main reason why they raised their prices is because Wall Street demands more, and Wall Street's always demanding more from you and me, from the big companies, to make sure, you know, they get an extra 1% rise in a month. But let's see.
Away from name brand items and instead buying products manufactured by stores directly, known as private labels.
He wrote a whole bunch of his observations on this article and then asked all of his executives to kind of initial it to acknowledge they had read it. It's this moment where you can see his wheels turning about, look, their price increases are our opportunity.
That opportunity came down to profit margins. While retailers typically mark up name brand items anywhere from 24 to 30%,
That's not
Costco
bad.
had a strict maximum markup of 14%.
Oh.
But with a private label,
That's interesting.
Costco could now control
Markup of 14% instead of a traditional 30. But I suppose it makes sense because when you go to Costco, you get such a big wumbo pack that it, I don't know, maybe.
more of the manufacturing costs for a lower starting price.
Same 14% markup at a lower starting price. That's good. That's very interesting. So if you're ever wondering, it's like when people make their own energy drinks, right? It's pretty inexpensive to make if you're going at scale. The product with most of it is, you know, getting your name out there, giving people reasons to want to buy your product opposed to like Red Bull. I could, when I go to the store, I would buy a Red Bull, but if I'm ever in Costco, I'm gonna get Kirkland Signature Sparkling Energy Drink. Like, it's such a generic name and I love it. I also have more stuff in there from Kirkland brand, but let's see where it's going with this.
So,
We allowed it private label to take 1 more percentage point higher in a markup.
the private labels quickly started piling up.
At Chelsea toilet paper,
Clout detergent.
Traditions, Pinnacle.
we were just making up names as we went along.
But then something happened.
They were just making up names. It's so good. I think it makes sense for someone like them, obviously, because they control so much demand in a sense, because everyone's always going to Costco. But maybe, let's say you're in a very rural market, you could probably get away with something with this where there is maybe your biggest competition is 7-Eleven. You could just come in, right? Because here in Utah, when you're going down towards like Las Vegas, you see all these little ghost towns when you're wondering what goes on here. And there's always just like a 7-Eleven, a McDonald's, not even like a Walmart or nothing. So with places like that, I think you could easily go in, relatively easily actually, go in and take over that market share. That's probably what like private equity does or these other companies. Because there's so many towns that I see that like don't have much. It's a food desert. That's what they're called there, right? And reason why big box stores or kind of relatively big stores don't go in there is because maybe they don't see the demand. So if you could just open up a small store and essentially monopolize a town is honestly kind of beautiful in the business sense. So this not a, I would love to try that. I'm gonna need to save up a lot more money if I'm gonna pull something like that off, just in case it goes belly up, but I'm getting distracted. Let's go back to this.
That would change everything.
And I was in one of our warehouses down in Los Angeles, and I asked the warehouse manager, did you get the new legal tablet that we had in private label? And he said, no, I don't think so. So we went to the section, and we had it under the Pinnacle name. So I showed it to the manager. I said, well, here it is right here. He said, I didn't know that was our label. And it was like a bell. Hell, if we don't understand within the organization what we're doing with our label, how are the customers going to?
That's good. There you go. Obvious business lesson, right? Branding, letting people know who you are, what you do, and what your product is. And here they had 1 billion little products with own independent names, not under one signature brand. And I'm sure he's gonna tell us.
We decided we need to get one name.
Consolidating all of these labels under one brand would go against every proven best practice.
Retailers tend to not use one private label brand because they're afraid that if you have a bad experience with one item, it might translate across the whole store.
If they don't,
That's good. That's also really good. It makes sense. The quality control aspect of it, since Kirkland brand isn't a manufacturer, they just, send it off to somebody and make it, which I'm sure they're gonna go into it, but they make like Tide make the detergent, they make Bounty make their toilet paper. So let's see what they gotta say.
trust the brand in the golf ball. They don't trust the mixed nuts.
You look at Sears, which was a successful retailer at the time, they had multiple brands that were their store brands.
I actually had no idea at the time that Craftsman was a Sears brand or Kenmore. So I think that's also really cool. I don't know if it's better or worse to be associated with your brand, right? Your private label. It's probably for the better, unless of course the quality is an issue. Then you don't want it tied to your Sears store, because if it's a quality problem, people might not trust your brand as much. Meaning the big brand, not your little private label.
Different categories.
You can't argue with the success that Sears had. That one warehouse manager who couldn't tell me where the tablets were was an illustration of where you could go wrong on something like that.
Right.
And then the question was, what would that name be?
How do you come up with the Kirkland brand name? It's really cool. And what would also be really cool is if you were to make your own brand, comment down below what you would name it. Or if you want to be greedy and don't want me to know, that's okay too. But feel free to let me know down in the comments below. What is like a brand name you at least had at one point that you decided not to go with for whatever reason, I had a really dumb one when I was younger. I was like 15. I wanted to do my own streetwear brand, because we all do at one point in our life. And it was like fuck shit, I think, or something dumb. Not very marketable, as you can tell, unless you're an edgy teen. But I'm sure they put more thought into their brand name than I did.
Costco was not the right name to put on it because we did so much business with other people, and we decided on Kirkland name.
At the time, the headquarters were in Kirkland, Washington.
There you go. That's good. That's how you come up with the simple, great name, Kirkland Brands in Kirkland, Seattle. And that's honestly really good. I'm gonna keep that one in my brain because I think it can be really hard for us to come up with original names. Everything you Google already exists. So the main differentiator for us, in a sense, would be quality of the product instead of just the name brand, because the name could most of the time be anything, you know? It could be Frankie Boots. But as long as the product is good, people tend to care less about the name of the brand as long as it's not derogatory or offensive.
We moved the home office to Issaquah. Nobody could spell Issaquah anyway, so we'll just keep Kirkland. And we've used that same label ever since.
Over the next few years, Costco slowly rolled out the Kirkland name.
I do remember when Kirkland Signature Shampoo came out.
It was the first hair care that we did. And then we had some vitamins that came out shortly after that.
Today, Kirkland has over 350 products across a variety of categories.
Kirkland vodka. I've had some of this stuff. That shit's deadly. Whew. Cheap vodka, it hit different.
But the company still
I'm sure you all know.
operates with a limited selection in each of these, what the industry calls a limited SKU environment.
I think the limited SKU environment is a very misunderstood or understood secret of a lot of things about Costco, including private label.
When a new Kirkland item hits the shelf,
Hey.
that category becomes
Hey, don't.
even more competitive.
If you're a supplier at Costco, it's kind of existential. It could reduce your sales. It could kick you off the slot entirely. So it's a real moment of head-on competition for a supplier.
It's an $80 billion brand, so it drives a lot of sales. Nobody wants to be that dramatically higher price than them.
I see it as a tremendous.
Actually, also really good. They're trying a great point to help their customers, you and me, from these companies continuously raising prices egregiously. They set the bar, right, for generic brands, $10 for this. So if you're the premium brand and you want to sell in Costco, you're not going to sell for more than like 15 bucks because they'll just go with the $10 option. And that's actually really good. I love that as an idea.
Negotiation tool.
One of the clearest examples of this leverage is Kirkland diapers.
Costco knew that they wanted to have a Kirkland version of a diaper.
But because of its limited SKU environment,
We weren't going to carry both Huggies and Pampers. We were going to carry one brand and a Kirkland signature.
to see who might make the Kirkland diapers, Costco approached two market leaders, Procter & Gamble of Pampers and Kimberly-Clark of Huggies.
There was a series of negotiations. Kimberly-Clark agreed.
And although Costco says Kirkland manufacturing negotiations are separate from conversations about shelf space,
There's always been only Huggies diapers and Kirkland diapers on Costco shelves for many, many years.
So they told Pampers and Huggies, who's gonna make our shit and who's ever not can kick rocks. And when you're Costco, you can get away with that, right? We probably couldn't. Both of them would tell us to fuck off. Or would they? I don't know. Maybe like Albertsons to try that. I don't know. Let's see.
It was decided on the basis of who came in and presented the best deal for the diapers.
even after a product is established, Costco buyers continue to monitor that category.
Our buyers are very aware of the commodity inputs, the raw ingredients that go into something. They know everything.
And this knowledge can lead the company to change its Kirkland vendors. Recently, Costco shifted to the Cuties manufacturer, First Quality.
We felt like we could produce a higher quality product at a lower price for our members.
Having not that many products on shelves compared to other retailers is a huge benefit with Kirkland because they can be very strategic about the fact that there's only a few slots. It allows them to dictate what they want for their
Yeah.
shoppers.
It's honestly really insightful on how cutthroat Kirkland and Costco is because of just their position in the marketplace. if you want to be in a Costco, you're gonna get strong armed. If I have an amazing product and it's selling great, and it's time to do wholesale bulk to Costco, they'll probably strong arm me if it's that good, and they'll be like, I want it. So it's such a great, but I mean, it's been like 40 years in the making. So if you want to have a position this dominant, you have to start now if you're in your 20s, if you want to be there in 40 years, right? Or you could start, it's never too late to start, as long as you have enough capital.
With Kirkland's name on hundreds of products, these negotiations are happening on almost every aisle of the warehouse.
When I look back at that Forbes article, one thing that really struck me is, wow, brands really had a chance to not charge more than they needed to give retailers kind of an in to create these really successful private label products.
Yeah.
But that's ancient.
The companies did it to themselves. Getting greedy brings in always a cheaper competitor. I think that's why Aldi's is growing so rapidly, and that's another business story about how servicing poor people can make you super rich. There's also like below 5 stores that do great, because like Dollar Tree, Family Dollar, all those failed their promises of keeping things cheap, so people went elsewhere, and they're huge markets. So I don't want to say poor people, I'm sorry, it's just underprivileged. Low income. That's what I meant.
History. It's too late now. Consumers again have really turned to store brands.
Yeah.
While national brands
It's like when you go to Walmart and you get the great value, but then you get the great value and you go, you could taste all the chemicals.
are still a bigger industry than private labels. In 2024, sales for private labels like Kirkland grew about 4 times faster than the national brands, hitting a record high. And with $86 billion in sales last year, Kirkland is now a bigger brand than Procter & Gamble and Kraft Heinz.
I mean, of course they are, right? Because Procter & Gamble, they don't have like brick and mortar stores. Costco controls it. So it makes sense because they can push their products more. When you go to Costco, you'll probably see, when I went actually, I saw Kirkland brand front and center, and then right next to it is the name brand, like with those bag examples that they did. So it makes a lot of sense. Like, it's just pretty cut and dry, right? I don't think I should keep explaining.
Is it the most significant thing for the company? I'd certainly say it's up there with the top 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Analysts say Kirkland's success is hard to replicate.
There's a few retailers that have gone to one private label. Not many, but a direct competitor like Sam's Club. More recently, 2017, they went to Members Mark, which is their private label brand.
I'm guessing they got
I
that
didn't know
from
that.
us.
Since consolidating, Sam's Club private label sales have nearly doubled. And when asked about its strategy shift, Sam's Club said in an email to the Wall Street Journal that one reason it simplified its products into a single brand was to reduce confusion for its members. But despite these successes,
Great
many
value.
big retailers aren't following Costco's lead. Target and Walmart have multiple...
Yeah, Target Better Goods is honestly pretty good. I live right next to a Target, and I usually end up getting the Better Goods and the Target brand just because it's honestly very little difference than getting the name brand. They do a great job with the way they do things, so why not?
private label brands.
They have to make that choice themselves. I mean, the choice, we think, in retrospect, was right for us. But it could have been wrong.
I think there's something also specific to like the club channel, like a Costco, Sam's Club. You pay a membership fee, so it's a little bit of a different environment. You're a little bit more bought in. You've already shown loyalty to what they have to offer in a way that's just a little bit different.
Compared to other mass retailers like Target and Walmart, club channels like Costco and Sam's Club are winning the private label food and beverage space, shown in their growth over the last year.
We still want to sell name brands. We think that shows value to the membership. So we really use Kirkland Signature strategically to make sure that we're priced correctly on brands and that we're offering a better quality.
And the revenue from Kirkland is set to rise as the company looks to expand its offerings like Kirkland.
I bought in that bulk of bacon from Kirkland. You're gonna have to buy bacon once. It depends on how much you eat, I guess. I don't eat that much, but
Sushi
never hurts
to
to have a
select
lot.
Stores.
I don't want to push our employees or our managers and our buyers to go out and hit quotas about number of Kirkland items I want developed out there. I want them to do it naturally as they go through their categories and look for those opportunities.
We don't need to put our name on a product just to put our name. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
In fact,
I could imagine, even though someone else is doing it, developing and handling the quality control until your product is ready to go out into the market, must be really hard. Especially if you're doing hundreds of them, or even if you're just doing a couple a year. It takes a long time. I think it took me like 6 months to try to develop a product. And then I didn't even like how I ended up, so scrap that project.
every Kirkland product ever made since 1995 has been signed off by the CEO directly.
The final approval on the products would come to me, and I would initial it in green ink. Those were known as green ink meetings because they got the green ink to proceed. It was as simple as that.
To this day, Costco still holds green ink meetings for all final approvals, even though that pen color is now retired.
I think I'm probably the only person who writes in green.
That's really good. I didn't have much insight because they explained it actually very well. So you can just skip this and go watch the video yourself from the Wall Street Journal. I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like. I'll try to find other things where I could probably have more insight for you, because here I was just as fascinated taking notes, mental notes. Please feel to leave a like and subscribe. I'm sorry about the noise in the background. You can't control a kitten like you can a dog. So see you guys.